It's very loud.
And we're live.
Are we live?
Are we live?
Maybe. Is this
Oh, gosh,
becoming a meme now?
It's a
I
tradition.
mean,
Every
ever
time.
since ever since you got
It's
mad at me,
what I mean.
right?
Well, it's just because I asked one time. I asked one time because you ask every week.
I do.
All right.
But
Look at us.
Others have taken up the torch for me, so I don't have to anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true.
There are 5 of us.
It's now somebody's gonna
There
ask
are.
every week. There are 5 of
There's
us.
so many. There's not enough,
Maybe.
actually.
There's 5 is
Let's make
plenty.
more OLIP babies, guys.
Yeah, I was about to say, we make it
I'm
big.
down.
I think 5 is
Shane is our
a-
newest OLIP
is
baby.
plenty. Shane, you're the baby. Get
Um,
it? Somebody
all
put a
right, cool.
diaper on him.
This is-
All right, so there we go. I had to set something up real quick in that scene. So, welcome back to Our Life in Pixels. There are
Thanks.
now 5 of us. So
Yes.
let's Shane, you are above me now. Hi. Introduce yourself
only be
to
one.
the stream. Have you been on OLIP before? I've been trying to get you on here for since episode 3. You fucking
This guy here?
Medusa.
Was that a question aimed at me, the new guy?
yes,
Yeah.
new
Yeah.
guy.
Oh, yeah, I was actually on one installment when you guys were playing Tabletop Simulator, and you
Oh,
needed
that's
somebody
right.
to come in and school you on the mechanics because you guys
Surprise,
were
motherfucker.
shuffling
That's
the
true.
decks or
I
anything.
forgot about that.
Taught us a lot that we
Mhm,
immediately
you know.
never used again.
That's true.
Exactly, and that's what I'm useful for. So
He was just straight up like
The price is wrong, bitch.
the whole time.
yeah, pretty early on, actually.
It was Monopoly.
Welcome
That's
back.
what it was.
Always comment.
All right, so
But whatever.
what have we been playing this week, boys?
Ian, do you want to start us off?
Don't everyone start
Want
at
me to
once?
start?
Yeah, sure,
Yeah.
since you're in the middle.
Man. Well, let me tell you, I've been playing a few different games. I'm not in the middle on my end.
What?
He's getting sandwiched.
That's what the viewers care about, is what it looks like on your
That's right.
end.
Well, I mean, who doesn't want to see what it's like on my end? Tell you what, hey, I've been playing a little bit of Undead Nightmare. I recently decided to give a trial of PS Now because why not? So playing a little bit of Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare, played a little Star Wars Bounty Hunter, been replaying Borderlands 2 to get hyped for Borderlands 3. And those are what's I've been playing.
Attaboy.
Good shit.
Cody?
Lots and lots of Outward. I don't have a whole lot of time to play games during the work week generally, but I've been streaming Outward on the weekends. And Justin stopped by. He saw a little bit of it
That's
the
right,
other
it's 6
day.
in the morning.
Yeah, I've been streaming for about 3 or 4 hours at that point. I probably put 10 to 15 hours in that game, and I still haven't left the starting area.
Damn.
So I still don't plan on leaving anytime soon. There's so much to explore and find out. So I'm having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, it looked really cool when I watched you the other morning. There's so much.
Yeah.
Even just watching you for 20 minutes, I have so many questions.
And they don't teach you any of it. There's no hand holding. It's just go fuck yourself, figure it out. And
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I like that. So yeah, I've been enjoying it a lot.
Well, that's going to come up later. Justin?
Yeah.
Sekiro, I guess. I've been trying to beat Sekiro, and still hard as fuck, dude. But I found a good strategy where I just burn the fuck out of people and hit them with my sword a lot, and then pray that they don't kill me, and I manage to kill them.
Shane, what have you been playing this week?
Like Justin said, Sekiro, obviously. What is this? The third week with it now, and
Yeah.
Out that.
Yeah.
and I can't put it down. Well, actually, I just quit recently. The night job
Congratulations.
fucking me up, and yeah, it's been 2 nights, so I'm staying
Clean.
away from it. That's good. Otherwise, just the typical UFC, and I actually slapped Insurgency back on. This new one has so much promise, but for whatever reason, it just won't run on my rig. So,
Buddy.
Lame.
yeah. I mean, when it runs smooth, it's an excellent game, a fun experience. But
Well, hi, Adam.
for whatever reason,
Sorry.
Hello.
Yeah, I like Ian have been playing Borderlands. Honestly, that's pretty
I've
much it.
seen a
I
lot of
played
people
Yes.
jump back in.
a little bit of Borderlands 2. I wish that there was crossplay because I've been playing it on my Xbox and I would love to play it with Ian, but that's not a
Hopefully
thing.
Borderlands
Hey, listen,
two.
I have it on both consoles. I have it on both.
Oh, do you have your Xbox right now?
I mean, not currently in my possession.
So
but
shut
it's
up,
like
then.
a
That
couple
doesn't
miles
help.
away. That's a couple miles away.
Oh, are you gonna go over there and play it?
I could.
You could. You
I'm sure it's
definitely
on sale
could.
on Steam if you get if Ian had a fucking
He doesn't
computer.
have. Well, he has a computer, but he doesn't have a
Oh,
computer.
Sorry, I'm not a part of the master race.
He has a, he
I
has a
think you can
computer,
say that.
just not one that can run. Can we never say that again? But one that that can run Borderlands.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got you.
So.
Well, currently I don't have a computer at all. Justin has it.
Yeah, I have his computer.
Oh, why do you have his
It's not
computer?
okay.
Why you mugging people in OLIP, man?
Oh
We're
my
supposed to
God.
be friends.
Well,
You know, Ian hasn't been here for a long time. He had to pay some dues.
I got you.
It has been a while. It's been 3 years since I was at Justin's house.
Yeah, that's funny.
Figured that out today.
That's a long time.
That is.
We reminisced about when Meryl tried to jump up onto the railing and then like almost fell, and like she straight like claws across the grain, just like, oh no.
It's very
great.
good.
Oh man.
All right,
she was
so
okay.
I suppose we should jump into the meat of it.
Should we?
Let's jump
Should we?
in.
All right,
Fates first, right into the meat.
Ian, are you doing the host thing, or am I just reading from the
Yeah,
script?
yeah. Hold on. Let me pull up what we're talking. A lot of pictures. Okay, we just
Oh,
did an
pictures.
intro and what we've been playing. Hey, guys, so big topic right now. Easy modes in games. So
Oh.
specifically, should games like Dark Souls, Sekiro, even way back to XCOM, should they include an easy mode option for casual gamers, or just like fuck them, keep them the way they is? Like, just would it defeat the whole point? Suggest,
well,
talk.
So, I think the big thing is like why is it a debate, really? Like if Justin was playing Sekiro on easy mode, why would that affect my playthrough of the game? Like I don't understand why this is such a big like a hot topic right now.
I think part of the problem is how you would implement that, because what makes Sekiro and the Souls series, what makes them hard, it's not the stats of the bosses. It's not how much that boss damages you when he hits you. It's not how little of his health bar you tick down when you hit him. It's the way combat is designed. Especially in Sekiro, I feel like that's even more so than in the Souls games, because it is more skills based.
Right.
So I guess I have yet to see a proposal to how you would actually implement that into a game without breaking down the mechanics and making the mechanics of what makes Sekiro easier. So I just don't know how it would work.
It comes down to running through easy mode, like, you know, making more sluggish animations, taking down the tracking, like.
Yeah,
I guess that's
that. It's kind of
something I didn't really consider, but you know, the same point, like there's a lot of games with easy mode, and I think the only issue with having modes is if you have to beat like an easier mode to get to a more difficult one, rather than just being able to select a difficulty. But
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, you did raise a point that I guess I didn't really consider.
So like something like how Borderlands is ran, where like you go through the normal mode, then you get Vault Hunter mode, then Ultimate Vault Hunter mode.
Like new game pluses.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, kinda.
Yeah. Like I mean, in some instances, I guess having to unlock a more difficult mode makes sense because you know are kind of coming to understand the mechanics. But at the same point, like it's kind of like a lot of games I'm not going to play 3 times through just to be more difficult later on.
Right. You see a lot of people kind of like have a camaraderie about like being a game on a hard difficulty. Like for example, back in the day, beating Halo on Legendary, like that was a cool accomplishment that people would share together and be like, yeah, you beat Halo on what difficulty? And I don't think that there's anything implicitly wrong with that. Like, it's fun to just like be like, oh yeah, we both went through this hard experience and it was cool. But then you see there's kind of like a dark side of that culture too, where people start being like, well, this is how the game is. This is how the game should be. If you don't play like this, you're not really playing the game like a real gamer should. And I think that's part of where this discussion is coming from.
The get good scrub thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, which even that, I think I like the idea of the get good thing is fun, but not when someone literally just means that.
Yeah, you can be toxic about it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I was reading an article earlier and they brought up a good point, is that in the Halo series, going back to that, you had your 4 difficulties. You had your easy, normal, heroic, and legendary. But on the heroic difficulty, it literally said, this is how the game is meant to be played on this difficulty. I'm not a huge proponent for adding easy modes into games, just because for me personally, when I jump into games, I generally put that on the hardest difficulty just to start with,
Yeah,
so
I kind of do the same thing a lot of the time.
Right.
So so for me, it doesn't make sense to me. Because when you put a game on a hardest difficulty, you're gonna get all of that time out of it. If you put it on easy or normal, for me, I'm one of those people, like, I see a movie, I'm not gonna watch it for another 4 years. So if I play a game through on easy mode, I'm not gonna want to play through it again, kind of thing. So
See,
thank you.
I one thing that I wonder, so like when you think about Dark Souls, specifically think about the first Dark Souls, what did it become famous for?
Dying
and being extremely hard, right? It was famous for being difficult. If it wasn't as difficult as it was, if it wasn't that, would it have become the success that it was? I'm like, this is a straight question. Like, would it be as remembered, and would it have spawned the series that it did, or would it have been meh?
Right. Like if it had an easy mode, would people have just not played it the same? And that's a really good point. I've read interviews with Miyazaki, and he kind of talked about designing the game, and he wants people to feel that experience of overcoming something that was quite difficult. And to him, the only way to really do that was to make the games hard to beat, right?
Right.
And he said, like, oh yeah, if there was like another way to do that, I would try that out. But for me, this is what I know how to do, how to make players feel this way, overcoming these difficult bosses that they fucking ram their heads against.
That's what's so glorious about the game, is you feel like I have rushes of adrenaline when I'm fighting these bosses throughout the series, and if it was just dumbed down, I wouldn't feel as good once I actually finally fell that boss and move on to the next stage. So
I remember I was so excited when I saw Dark Souls 2 free on the PlayStation Store. And because I'm like, Tim and Justin couldn't stop talking about this game. Let's do this. And I played it. And within like 5 minutes, I like died instantly. I'm like, what the fuck just happened? They did not warn me for this. They didn't tell me anything.
The game should have warned you.
There's definitely a learning curve on those kind of games.
Yeah.
And I think something that we don't really think about, and this is something else that the article brought up, is when it comes to accessibility for people who don't necessarily have normal functions, right? You've seen the Xbox come out with like the new, or Microsoft come out with a new like controller for people with disabilities. And stuff like that.
Yeah, that's super nice.
Yeah.
So for people like that, I can understand why they possibly want an easier mode, because Sekiro and Dark Souls are all they are, don't get me wrong, they are getting made to adhere to like the 99% or the 98% of people who have normal functions, but there is that 2% or 1% or whatever it is that can't play the game at all just because of their physical disabilities. So I can kind of understand from that aspect, but I'm not one to change the creator's vision to basically adhere to so everybody can play. Like obviously that's what the goal you always want to go for, but it shouldn't compromise what you're trying to do. And I think in this series in particular, Dark Souls, Sekiro, all those kind of games, I think it would compromise it, because the big thing about it is that it's difficult, and that is unfortunate. But there's so many games to play. I mean, Sekiro isn't the first game that makes you feel like a ninja. They've been having games that have come out since forever. I remember playing, I think it was Tenchu or something.
Tenchu, baby.
On the 360, stuff
Ninja
like that. There's
Gaiden.
definitely, Ninja Gaiden and stuff like that. So should there be an easy mode? As long as it doesn't compromise what the game is. As soon as we get into that, as soon as we're compromising for the creator's vision, then I don't think so. But for every other game, yeah, I can see it.
I guess for my point, what I was trying to get at is, it's kind of like, so Dark Souls and From Software games, specifically this series, Sekiro and the Dark Souls games, I consider it all one series. I know it's not all directly connected lore-wise, but it's all relative, right? Soulsborne games. They are famous for being hard. What is, say, Borderlands is famous for having billions of guns, right? So
right.
Now there's going to be gazillions.
But you come into the game knowing this game is one of the core principles is that it's supposed to be extremely difficult, and you're like, well, why don't we make it easier? That would be like going to Borderlands and being like, well, you know what would make this game great if there were less guns. Going to play a Sonic game and being like, it would be great if the Hedgehog went a little less fast. Like, that's what it feels like to me. I don't know. It just seems weird, because that is a core principle of what the game is supposed to be. It's supposed to be like,
but if an easy mode has nothing, like, it's not going to ruin your hard mode, let the people that suck at playing games fucking play games.
But it could.
If it's going to do nothing to compromise the your hard mode.
It depends on how you put it in, because like we were saying earlier, if you have to...
How are you going to put it in, Tim?
That's hopefully what I'm saying. Like, if you have to change the core mechanics of the combat, and you have to change the way that the game's engine actually functions in order to make the game easier, because other than slowing down the attack animations and changing the way that the mobs work and changing the way that the bosses fight, like, a simple stats fix isn't going to fix the skill level in the game. It's going to make the fights maybe go longer. It's going to make it maybe harder to die to the boss, but it's not going to make it easier for the boss to kill. So I don't know. It just seems...
That's kind of one of the hardest things, is defining what is easy mode, because it can really vary game by game by game.
Yeah, so like, a good example for me, XCOM 2, there was a big discussion about this when it first came out too, is why isn't it an easier game? With that, it literally is a matter of changing the percentages for the hits. Like, you can change the damage and the percentages because it's all dice roll, RNG, turn-based combat. So that's an easier fix, and that's something that wouldn't necessarily ruin that game, although, again, I would argue that XCOM is famous for being difficult, so why would you want to play it if you're not looking for a difficult game? But that's beside the point. But with Dark Souls and with Sekiro, I feel like and Bloodborne, that's a much harder fix, I feel like. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. And, it's like, the difficulty overcoming these enemies is such a core concept of the game itself, that it's like, yeah, you can make it easier, but then the people who play it that way might not be having that same experience. And the question is, do the developers want to take the effort to do that?
Yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting conversation, but I think in this genre, because that's what Dark Souls has become. Outside of all the Souls games, you got games like The Surge, Ashen's kind of a spinoff. Outward isn't so. Having played Outward for a while now, Outward I wouldn't put in that same conversation. It has a very similar combat, but it's nowhere near what like Dark Souls and stuff is. So
I don't know. I only put in that conversation because the developer straight up said in like a 2-hour-long live stream that I watched that it is like, they're like, yeah, it is kind of like a Souls-like, because we were really inspired by the combat of Dark Souls. So I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, but if you play the combat, in that game in particular, basically the similarities are you lock onto a person, you can block and roll out of the way and whatnot. But there's so much more that goes into it. Like I started fighting ghosts last night, and you have to get this spiritual varnish to put on your weapon. Otherwise,
Dark Souls.
Yeah, is that in Dark Souls? I don't know.
And Orlando.
I don't know. So I never played through all the Dark Souls. I own all of them.
New London.
But I just don't. Dark Souls is one of those games. I never got into the story. I never got into like the world around me kind of thing. So I never progressed super far. It's different with like Outward and Sekiro. I really like. I've been enjoying Outward more for the moment. So I'll probably end up going back to Sekiro eventually. But yeah, I don't think. I mean, maybe the combat's the same, but I really feel like that's where it ends. The open worldness and stuff like that just changes it. So, but I don't look. I can talk about Outward all day, so let's not dive into that.
Yeah. So while we're still on this topic, I just want to ask you guys: are there any games that you've played on an easier mode that you've either enjoyed or you felt like kind of ruined the game for you?
XCOM. I started XCOM on the hardest difficulty. Holy crap!
I made that same mistake.
Super hard. Because I was new to XCOM when the new one, the version, the 2012, 2013, whenever that first one came out.
Enemy Unknown.
I hadn't played the like original, so I didn't understand. And I started on the hardest difficulty. Oh God, no, fuck that. Like, and I reduced the difficulty, and I really enjoyed the game. Same thing with XCOM 2. Tried it again. Fuck that.
But did you bump it down to the easiest setting, or did you just play it on normal?
I just played on.
It doesn't matter.
Well, it kind of matters a little bit. Because normal is the way I
will say the easy mode of the conversation actually reminds me a lot of my wife. My wife has now she played through all the Uncharted games on easy, and then she played through all of them again on normal, and now she's playing through all of them again on hard. Mm-hmm. So there are people out there that do that. I'm not one of them. I don't know a lot of people that do that. My wife is one of the only people I've ever heard that like love the series enough to do that, but she loves that series. So I mean, I don't know. Some people do it, but it's not. I think it's a very small percentage that end up.
I mean, this is probably a bad example, and I don't do it anymore. But I have in the past tried to play just like I was like, oh, because I play Madden on all Madden every single year, every single time, and I was sick of the grind. So I turned it down, and I didn't even turn it all the way down to rookie, which is the easiest setting. That's easy mode for Madden, right?
Like all pro?
Yeah, I turned it down to all pro, and all of a sudden I'm fucking smoking teams that I was like barely edging out, like 49-0. I'm like, okay, this is dumb. So I would argue it did ruin it for me. I was like, I can't play it like this because it's not fun. There's no challenge. Like there's a line. Some people don't want a challenge, and that's not why they're playing a game. They want to play a fun game. I would argue that at that point, you shouldn't be looking at a game that's known for difficulty. Some games you just want to play for a fun time and to chill and to relax. There's plenty of games out there like that, so I don't know. I have games like that myself that I go play, but when I'm looking to play something like that, I'm not trying to play Dark Souls, It's not the same thing. I don't know.
I will say, and I've said this before, Mountain Blade, I do play on the easiest difficulty on the campaign, just because I want to play it as I saw Shane's face, but I like to play it as a power.
I did not expect that. But I mean, the biggest disadvantage with Mountain Blade is that they just funnel all of the enemies at you.
The AI.
So when you're playing anything other than easy, it's pretty difficult.
Yeah,
because it's just literally you have 100 people,
and I'm not very good at that game,
and they're all looking at you.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, the AI basically targets you. So I definitely enjoy Mountain Blade.
I use that to my advantage. See, I use my cavalry, so since I know they're going to charge me, I set up my archers in one rank with my infantry in another rank. I have my cavalry over with me. I have, my cavalry over here. The enemy starts to charge me. My archers are picking them off from the side. I charge the infantry in, getting a flank, and then I charge with my cavalry with lances, and I fuck them up.
This has been Tim's Armchair General.
That's what's up.
Yeah, it's too much thinking for me. When I play Mountain Blade, I'm just looking to slaughter people. That's all I want to do. I'm just trying to slaughter millions of fucking these.
If you become covered in red, that's
that's the goal. So, but I mean, once again, it's just other ways to enjoy the same game. Obviously, not everybody's gonna play Mountain Blade on the easiest difficulty. And it's actually really enjoyable, even if it's not on the difficulty.
Right.
It's just
absolutely.
Like I said, I like it as a power fantasy of just like freaking steamrolling all these armies, and it's a lot of fun that way. So hey, fuck it.
About Cody today.
Yeah.
I will admit that, like, I don't know, there's just something about easy mode that makes me feel a little dirty if I select that first to play a game, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Be like one of those where I see it as an option, I'll be like,
Is anybody looking?
Yeah. There is a little bit of dirtiness to playing easy that you
Yeah.
get from the gaming. If you admit, like I just did about Mountain Blade, playing it on easy, people look at you a little bit differently. Like, really?
There's a negative
best not-
connotation.
well, you suck at games now, Cody.
You better not
suck.
stream it on easy. Believe me.
No, I
You'll-
don't stream Mountain
Watch
Blade.
out
You'll
for that
hear
Twitch
about that
community.
shit.
Yeah.
There's a good argument though to like pick up a game like RimWorld and slap that bitch on easy and just
Oh yeah.
colonize it and enjoy yourself
Yeah.
online for a couple hours.
Yeah.
That's
Wait,
actually
what
one of
game?
my favorite games.
RimWorld?
RimWorld.
Nice.
It's PC,
It's not Rim
PC
Job.
Master
Yeah.
Race, bro. Don't worry about it.
Because that's where I
Oh,
win.
man.
That's where I win.
That's what everybody
I'm like,
says.
Shane, what games do you play?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
So I backed RimWorld on Kickstarter all the way back in like 2012.
I bet you did. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And I've heard that joke so many times. But that
From
game,
Ian.
it has three different AIs that you can choose. And then from there
That
you can choose a
escalated
difficulty
quickly.
level. So you got
Right.
cool.
You
Yeah.
choose like the
Really
length
got
of their
out
tongue.
of hand
Kind of tailor your experience.
Are you guys
No.
hearing that when I play stuff through SoundPad today?
No.
Oh,
broke
because I've made several jokes using SoundPad that no one's
No
reacted
one
to.
heard.
Like
if the audience is hearing it, we're talking.
Oh, Joda's got
they
it.
are, they're hearing it, but you're
Well,
not.
it's for
so,
them.
yeah.
It's for them.
Jody, you suck at games. Pick up RimWorld. Trust me.
You know, another game this difficulty thing was a hot topic for was the Fire Emblem series, where I don't know how familiar
Saw
you
nothing.
guys are with it, but traditionally in Fire Emblem, it's a tactics game. You have like X number of units you collect. If one of them dies, that unit's gone for the entire rest of the game. However, they introduced a setting where you could change it so that if they died in battle, they'd just be gone for that battle and then they'd come back afterwards. And there's just this big like outcry from like hardcore fans being like, this isn't Fire Emblem anymore. This is not okay. And it was just interesting to see this big dichotomy amongst Fire Emblem fans. Like, so now there are people who love all this other stuff, like not having to stress about every single turn their unit dying and like the dating sim kind of aspects to everything. And then there are still people who just like the old hardcore shit. And, you know, they just have the option to choose whichever one you want.
I got really confused at first when you started talking about Fire Emblem because Shane started moving his hands in his mouth and I thought he was going to challenge me to RimWorld.
Open invite, baby.
Ooh.
Out of curiosity, do you guys hear it right now?
You ever seen a grown man naked?
What are we trying to listen for, Tim?
Okay, so I've got a button bar set up essentially.
Oh.
So I've got a whole bunch of quotes on it that I have. Like I just played. You ever seen a grown man naked? And none of you heard it, so I was just trying to test it. The stream heard it. I saw it pop up on the audio bar, but I have to restart my system for it to play through my microphone. So
Oh, don't do that. Don't
yeah,
restart
no.
your system, Tim.
Yeah,
no.
none of
Well,
that.
no, that would kill the podcast at the moment. So
Yeah.
that would be
kill
a
the podcast.
that would be a horrible,
It's like
horrible decision.
Killing a game development studio.
Wow.
So any more last thoughts about easy mode in harder games or just easy mode in
Well,
general?
I mean, it's kind of situational, but like Tim said, why would you pick up a game like Dark Souls or Sekiro and expect it to have a varying level of difficulty?
Because
That's not
maybe
the
you suck at
expectation.
playing games, Shane, and all your friends are playing it. You just really want to experience something.
It's like, that game looks cool. I want to play that game, but I fucking can't play that game. Should
Right.
that person be able to and enjoy it?
Well,
I think that just all goes down to if they want more people to buy the games. I guess because if you suck at games, why are you going to buy it?
I think can't is a strong word. I think if you don't have the time to invest to get better at the game, I'm not going to say get good, like I'm not trying to be a dick. So like if you don't have the time to invest to practice the mechanics and learn the mechanics and
right.
But like even with Sekiro and Dark Souls, there are guides available that'll help you cheese bosses if you really are struggling that much with the game. Like it's not like there's not a way to play the game. You know what I mean? I don't know. If you don't have the time to invest to develop the skills to play the game, that's one thing, but again, then I would say that's just probably not a. I understand we want games to be more inclusive. We want games to be available for everybody, but they're not. Like, not every game is going to be for everybody. Like, I am not going to play. For example, once again, this is a bad example because I don't think this shit should be on Steam anyway, but like all of the fucking hentai puzzle games ain't for
This
me.
is all Tim talks about.
Ain't for me, bro.
Oh,
here we go again, Tim.
Here we go again.
Let's hear it.
But no, there are all
World.
no, for real though, like racing games. I'm terrible at racing games. I don't play racing games. I actually watch a fair amount of racing games on Twitch because they're fun to watch. I watch people play all kinds of shit, but I don't play them because I'm not good at them and I don't want to invest the time to get better at them. So I not every game is for everybody. I don't know.
Well, I think these
There's an
days.
easy mode on most racing games, though.
There is. That's
Yeah,
also true.
automatic.
And I won't play it because I don't fucking like. I don't know.
You know, they have Twisted Metal on PS now, and I almost played it the other day, but I'm like, I have very good memories on that game. I don't know if I want to ruin it by seeing how it is
Don't
now.
go back.
I played it on an emulator and it was awful.
I do think though, just real quick, that this is where streamers come in. If you want to experience something but you're not good enough to play it, or you don't have the time to play it, kind of thing, that's kind of the void that streamers fill. Because then you can still see and experience the story, and you don't get the joy of playing it, but you're not going to be left in the cold, not knowing what goes on, not knowing the mechanics and stuff like that. You can still hold conversations, which at the end of the day, like Ian with Dark Souls 2, he just wants to hold a conversation with Justin and Tim about Dark Souls 2 or Dark Souls in general. So if he watches,
I just want my friends to love me.
Right. But if you watch a streamer or something like that, that's you can still experience it. You're not getting the full experience, but you still know what's going on.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
All right, so that took a little longer than that.
2 hours.
That took more of the conversation than I thought it was going to, but I feel like it was
the hard mode.
I feel like that was the hard mode part of the stream.
Hey, listen, man. I'm
mode.
looking at our
Filled all the
itinerary, and that's fine. That's fine that it took us this long. It's okay. We
You're
don't
the
got
host,
that
you
much
know.
to talk about tonight. Yeah, it's fine. So, moving forward, a bunch of BioWare employees have been interviewed, and we now know what the fuck is happening to Anthem. So let's dive right in, boys.
Yeah.
Because I don't know anything about that.
You didn't read the article at all, did you?
Did someone tell me to read the article? Did you guys say, "Hey, Ian, read this article"?
Ian, have you ever looked at Discord?
Have you looked in the OLIP planning committee
hey man,
at any point?
I went and saw a DC movie today that I am not ashamed for seeing.
No, that's fine.
Finally.
I'm not ashamed for seeing any
Very
DC
good
movie. So Kotaku interviewed a bunch of BioWare employees, most of them
Yeah,
anonymously.
like 19
Yeah.
of them.
And
Yeah.
we learned that basically it confirmed a lot of the shit that we knew, but it also, we learned some other shit that we didn't know. For example, the game we knew was in development since 2012, so like 7 years. What we didn't know is that 6 years of that were pre-production, and they only spent 12 to 18 months actual development time for the game. What we knew before is that the game was missing a bunch of content that we saw at E3. In what we all speculated was that what the internet has been speculating is that a lot of the content was cut out to sell us back to a DLC. But what we learned from this article was that nope, it just the E3 demo that they played was not real. None of that content was actually developed or ever implemented in the game. Some of it was cut out in order to sell back to you, such as some of the armor sets, but a good chunk of it just never was made. Which is why we don't have elemental weapons in the game when they were shown at E3. We learned all kinds of shit about this. We also learned it's not entirely EA's fault, which is kind of surprising. Yeah. So
Kind of not though. It's kind of also hella BioWare's fault.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like we learned, like I said, it's not all EA's fault. It surprised the fuck out of me.
Yeah, so like a big thing about this is that they just like no one at BioWare ever decided what the fuck the game was going to be apparently. Like one of the anecdotes they had in the article was talking about how they'd have these meetings where they discuss systems in the game and they would have like several different ideas for whatever getting around in the game, how you move around it. And they'd be like, oh yeah, that sounds cool. What about this? And they wouldn't decide anything. They would just conclude the meeting and there would be no decision made. So no one could really move forward with anything. Like, that's not ideal. That's not how you should make things.
Yeah,
But that's how it happened.
Flying got ripped out and put back in several times, which is why the levels are all wonky. It feels like in some maps, yeah. Cody?
Yep. So I'm the one person here who thinks the one redeeming I still believe is the combat. Obviously, the balancing and stuff is that's all sorts of jacked up. But if it's anything like Destiny, it'll eventually figure its shit out. But here's the thing: they couldn't even talk about during the development. Like it was like this dirty word, not world. It was like this dirty word. You couldn't compare Anthem to Destiny because this wasn't Destiny and this, that, and the other thing. And talking about BioWare magic and this, that. It was just, I don't know. It was just a mess, and I don't know why. After so many years of good games, why would you all of a sudden not know how to make games anymore? And that's
Frostbite.
A good chunk of the executives, like the guy who was the director of the Mass Effect project, left in the middle of Anthem's development. That definitely doesn't help. The amount of people that left during development does not help at all with the situation.
Like they had like a switch, like their lead writer, like I don't know who it was at first. This guy came in and he was told like, okay, we need this game to be X. And the whole development team up to that point was thinking the game was going to be Y. So he was in this awkward position of like writing the game in a way that the whole rest of the team wasn't expecting it to be. And so he was kind of like coming in and suddenly he was the bad guy to the rest of the team. And he ended up leaving before the game was complete because it sounded like an awful time.
Yeah, I guess the team didn't want to have sci-fi Dragon Age, and that's what they felt like the story was.
Yeah.
Because it was the Dragon Age. It was a writer from Dragon Age. But I don't know. I'm not sure. There was a lot of really cool core concepts that it was supposed to be more of a survival-esque game.
Yeah, it sounded cool.
And they all just got lost.
It almost sounded like Helldivers, the way they described like party up with your buddies, here's your mission, go do it, survive your way back to the base, and then talk about your dope-ass mission you went on.
Well, they also cut out several cities, and then you wound up with just the fort, and then, like, there were so many things that were taken out that were more than just those core aspects of the game. It's just crazy to me that it wound up the way it was. I mean, sci-fi Dragon Age would have been way more interesting than what wound up coming out, in my opinion. And I haven't even fucking played it. Like, it just is.
Well, just from the team standpoint, I can understand. You're looking. It's a new IP. It's something BioWare's never done before. So you don't want to retread old areas, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't want a story like that, I get it. But when you're so far in development that you don't have what you need, like at some point you got to start making concessions, and that was something they probably could have made a concession on, and it would have made the game better because they wouldn't have to reboot the whole story.
Mm-hmm.
They also talked about how like Frostbite is full of razor blades, is what one of the developers said. But when it comes to developing games, because EA wants to use it because it saves a bunch of money for the company, but it doesn't work for every type of game. It's great for Battlefield.
Yeah.
And that's about it.
So, for DICE, because DICE made it.
We've talked about Frostbite a little bit on the podcast before, but to kind of rehash some of the problems that we knew they were having, like, for example, with Mass Effect Andromeda, and this is not that it necessarily applies to what happened with Anthem, but they've had to rebuild so many systems in Frostbite specifically for these other games. Like, for example, Andromeda, there was no manual save feature. They had to build one from the ground up in order for you to be able to save the game. And then in the middle of Anthem's development, they took the people who knew what the hell they were doing on the Frostbite engine and ripped them away from the development team of Anthem and gave them to FIFA.
FIFA. Oh.
How helpful is that?
So I have I have kind of a contentious opinion about that. If they would have figured out what the fuck they were doing to begin with, that wouldn't have affected them probably as much as it did.
But they didn't, and so it
Right.
affected them a
But
ton.
Yeah.
I mean, so I understand where EA is coming from. I don't like the way sports games are set up these days. FIFA and Madden, all about the packs and this and the other thing. But FIFA's the biggest game that EA has. So if it's going through some kind of troubles, which it has been with its loot boxes and stuff over the past year, then I can understand where they're going to pull those guys, kind of thing. But I mean, they even talked about how they chose not to use the Dragon Age inventory system, and then when it came towards the end of development, they were like, hey, maybe we should have used the Dragon Age inventory system so that we could have put more time into other things instead of building it from the ground up.
Right.
They
just
were
like
unwilling
way
to
too
use
late.
any assets from Andromeda or Dragon Age to help them. And it's like, why are you reinventing the wheel consistently? Like, I don't.
Dude, yeah.
Here's
My
the
favorite thing
every
they
single
talked
game.
about was they talked about how was it the Austin studio that did the Old Republic?
Yeah.
They had those guys, and they were just like, "Hey, we've done online service games. These things that you're trying to do, they're not going to work." And Edmonton was just like, "Meh,
Yeah.
we know what we're doing. We're Edmonton."
Yeah. They're
Or
like,
that's how it sounded
we're
anyway.
real BioWare, so shut up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
The
rough.
craziest thing to me is there's that, but then there's also the fact that they weren't allowed to talk about Destiny in the studio. They weren't.
Oh yeah.
They weren't allowed to compare the game to Destiny, and anytime any developer brought it up to one of the heads of the studio that, hey, Destiny did this and we think we could improve on that, they're like, no, our game's nothing like that.
Don't
like-
even compare us to Destiny.
Like, bitch, your game's exactly like that.
Yeah.
Just insane.
That's all I've ever said about Anthem. Ever since I saw it, I was like, okay, so it's Destiny, but you can fly around.
That's what everyone said. I think, like, I saw
Yeah.
the E3 trailer, the first one, and I think that's the first thing that I said to Cody was I was like, oh, this looks a lot like Anthem. I'm curious where it goes.
Anthem looks a lot like Anthem.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it looks a lot like Destiny. You knew what I meant.
I will say I do. If you read that article, they talk about the core concepts. It sounds like they had something good, but
They ended up gutting it.
They gutted everything. Like,
yeah.
They might as well as just scrap the whole thing. If I'm being honest, it probably would have saved more money.
Right?
You know?
Like, it's one of those things, like, they must have just had so much money already into it for all those, like, pre-production years.
Right.
They were just like, well, we gotta fucking do something with this.
Ian, Shane, you got any thoughts on this? The head shake.
Well,
You already know I looked at it once and just...
Cut it out of his brain.
Ian? I know you played
tuned
Destiny.
this entire conversation out. What?
Wow, thanks.
Well, hey, listen, man. Look, my phone is dying, and now I'm in an awkward position because my charging cord can only go so far, and I'm like laying on my bed like a 15-year-old schoolgirl with my legs up in the air, crisscross.
I mean,
Just
that's
like, let's talk all night and stay up.
That's where you belong. That's 100% where you belong.
that is where I belong.
So,
yeah.
well, let's get Ian back into the conversation
Yeah.
then and move on to this next topic.
Good. Are we moving on?
We're moving on.
Okay. Well, so, I mean, Borderlands, yes, please. However, we're going to talk a little bit more specifically on it's kind of entering the, I don't know, what would you say, like the cold store war, if you will. It's going to be an Epic exclusive for 6 months. It will include XP bonuses for more expensive versions of the game. And what are our thoughts on this?
I think Cody just quit.
Oh God, Cody's gone.
Yeah,
Yeah, Cody's
Cody
like,
left.
fuck this.
Cody's like, Borderlands,
Store war.
fuck this shit.
Get out of here.
Yeah. Cody didn't want to yell about Epic again.
Now I know you guys play Steam. So it's like,
We play
does this
Steam.
upset you at all that it's not going to be in Steam for like 6 months?
I own them both on Xbox as well, and honestly, I was probably going to pick up Borderlands on Xbox first.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess it does bother me a little bit because Steam's a better fucking platform, and I'm sick of Epic already. I have not bought a single game through Epic, and I'm getting sick of it, even though I don't know. But
Yeah, I was kind of looking forward to picking up the game on launch. I don't really want to get it through the Epic Game Store just because I don't use the Epic Game Store launcher, so I'd have to install it and use it for this. Which, you know, I've got these other launchers too, but it would be nice if it was.
So what's another launcher for you?
What's another one?
Yeah.
Every game can just have its own launcher. That's fine.
A lot of them.
So I don't know
Shane,
if it
you got
if it
anything?
has crossplay.
sorry,
I should
hold on.
say if we have crossplay between consoles and PC for this, I might just grab it on PS4 just because it'd be easier for me that way.
So now, are you surprised that Epic like picked it up for exclusive, or?
I mean, yeah, I wasn't expecting it.
I'm not surprised
money.
that Epic tried to pick it up. I am surprised that Gearbox went with it because Gearbox has had a lot of success through Steam, and I think part of the problem is you can make more money on Epic than you can on Steam if your game sells better. But a lot of the argument that some of these game developers are coming at audiences with is, well, you know, our games are outselling their predecessors on Steam. They're outselling what our games on Steam were selling. Well, yeah, but that has more to do with the popularity of your title, of your game, than it does with the popularity of Epic. There's more users on Steam, so I don't know.
Do I want to play it right away? Yes. Am I going to do Epic? No. But I'm just going to play it when I can.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Cody, any thoughts about the store war?
So for me, this has become like a new reality kind of thing. It's not something I'm a big fan of. Like I've said, I think I said last week, I have like 540 something games on Steam. So I'm just not looking to install another launcher. I got Ubi, I got Origin and whatnot. And the big difference in between like Epic, I see that Dr. Popcart, which I believe is Keegan, is talking about Origin and where was the outrage.
Oh, I fucking hated Origin. I still do. It's garbage. But
the big difference in between Origin and Epic is Origin has a niche market and it's mostly sports, right? While Epic, on the other hand, is taking any AAA title that they can get and making it purely for their store. So I said last week that I'm not the biggest, I'm not super hyped for Borderlands 3. It's because I'm kind of looter shootered out at this point. But I'm really not excited for it now that it's an exclusive, even if it's only for 6 months. And then on top of that, they've basically slowed the game down for you with because if you just get the base game, because there's 4 different types of the game. And every other type of the game, other than the base game, has a XP boost and an XP or something else kind of boost to help you get through the game faster. And this is something. It's looter shooters for me. I think developers just get like money signs in their eye and end up
in
trying
one
to
eye
monetize
specifically.
everything.
Which eye?
Either eye. I don't care. But
all the eyes, Tim.
Yeah, all the eyes. Because it's really easy to monetize, and it's not just looter shooters necessarily. It's also think of Shadow of was the newest one, Shadow of War, right?
Shadow of War. Yep.
Yeah.
Remember, they had the big issue where the game was slowed down because they wanted you to buy the loot boxes.
It wasn't slowed
kind
down
of thing.
though.
See, you say that, but you don't mind the grind. Game, right?
You just cut out super bad. But yeah, I don't mind the grind.
Yeah. Cody, you've been cut out this whole time.
Well, I don't know. There's nothing I can do about it. I don't know. Like it's in there. I don't know.
You're pretty much fine.
But yeah, I just at this point I just think the looter shooter, and this is something I brought up in the chat the other day. The loot mechanic is becoming the most monetized thing out there, and I'm not a fan of that. That's more my bigger issue with all this stuff now.
Right, thinking about like season passes and things.
Yeah.
Pay to get whatever exclusive skins that you can never get again.
Right. And the difference in between like Battle Royale and this is most Battle Royale games are free or are only $30. PUBG's $30. You know, or it's free on fucking Game Pass. You pay $10 a month, you get on Game Pass.
Yeah, that's true.
You know? So that's really the difference. Borderlands, Shadow of War, Destiny, all these games, $60 up front, all these issues, oh, and we're going to monetize everything. Like, I'm just not a fan of that. So I'm just staying away from it in general. So
the thing that I at first was like, the XP thing's not a big. I think I literally said that to Cody when we were talking on the phone. I was like, oh, the XP thing doesn't bug me so much. And then I was thinking about it. I was like, you know what though? Like if it's not slowing the game down, it's speeding it up. But if you're speeding it up for everybody else who's buying it at a higher rate, then you are slowing it down.
Like,
so
if we were all playing together and, like, everyone but me had the XP and loot boost...
Yeah, they'd be fucked.
Everyone's like, oh, I got this sweet gun. I'm over here like, yeah, not me.
Yeah, and that is pretty shitty, I think.
Yeah, even though it's not a competitive experience, I think it would... I mean, I don't know how extreme it's going to be, but I feel like it would be a bummer.
Well, and the other thing is, when, in a situation like that, it then incentivizes the one person who doesn't have it to go out and get it, and that's the whole
to keep up with everybody
idea behind it. So I'm not a fan of that. I don't like that. I shouldn't have to pay more than $60. Is this where I'm at this point for a completed game? So games like Outward is only $40, totally completed game. I'm not expecting any DLC or anything like that. Same thing with like CD Projekt Red. That game's going to come out. It's going to be, or Cyberpunk 2077. That game's going to come out. You're going to have a shit ton of stuff to do, and it's not going to be monetized more.
You hope. Don't jinx it.
We'll see.
Look, I'm going off of what they've done in the past, like The Witcher and stuff. The only thing that they really monetized was the DLC.
Yeah,
which
I don't mind.
It was substantial DLC.
You remember when that was the biggest controversy in gaming? Oh, fucking DLC. Now it's like loot boxes, skins,
physical DLC,
XP boosts, physical DLC.
It's a lot of money just to keep up, but if it's substantial, like Witcher, there's no issue to drop that extra chunk of money.
Yeah, I'm not against like spending money in games necessarily. Like when they make the Tachanka Elite skin, you know I'm gonna buy that with my money.
With my money, as opposed to buying it with something else.
Or somebody else's money.
Somebody else's money, yeah.
You know I'm gonna buy that with Tim's money, guys. Come on.
Horse armor, the original.
Well, like I'm looking at these, like the different editions for Borderlands 3. Obviously, I'm gonna get it, but I'm like, I'm eventually gonna get the season pass anyway. So wouldn't it make sense just to get the Super Deluxe edition? Like, I could care less about the extra skins, trinket, and grenade modifiers, but I need the season pass, right?
Do you need it? Is it?
I do need it, Justin. I want the DLCs.
The biggest thing is like, if the season pass saves you money versus buying the DLC individually, then I think it's a good value. But if not, then you're just paying up front for stuff that you don't know if it's going to be any good.
Well, there are some games that I bought the season pass and then there's no content that comes out ever. It's like what? Like good example was Wildlands. Like there's I think been one paid DLC and then a bunch of free content like the Predator stuff. It's like what the fuck did I pay you for?
See,
right.
And Justin, you're talking to a man that has bought Borderlands 2 on the PS3, on the 360, the Handsome Collection on the PS4, the Handsome Collection on the Xbox One. I mean, I'm clearly going to get Borderlands 3.
You're like the one member of the you're the one member of the podcast.
We need to bring Tyrell on the podcast.
Like the rest of us last week were like, the pre-sequel doesn't really count. We never played it. We don't care. Like we know it came out. And you're the one person here who probably played the fuck out of it.
No, actually, here's the thing. I was thinking about that literally the other day when I started playing Borderlands 2 again. I literally beat the game multiple times with every single character in the first one. Multiple fucking times on the second one with all 4 fucking systems. I have yet to beat the pre-sequel.
That's so funny.
I know.
No one
I know.
Because we straight up last week we're like, it doesn't really count. Like I was like, I'll just wait for 3, and then it seems like it's the forgotten Borderlands title. It does really well. Like apparently on Steam it has like a 90% score, but like nobody plays it because everybody's like,
Well, and like even when I like started the Handsome Collection, like when last week I saw the trailer for Borderlands 3. I'm like, fuck yeah, let's play Borderlands 2. And, the screen pops up. Do you want to play pre-sequel? Do you want to play Borderlands 2? I'm like, I haven't beat the pre-sequel yet. I haven't played it in a really long time. Let's play Borderlands 2 again.
Yep.
I don't know. I want to play Borderlands. I could always buy it on. Well, I won't end up buying it because I'll end up deploying. So, and I'm just not going to end up playing it. So that's what it is for me. But I like Borderlands. That's the problem. I really enjoyed Borderlands 1, Borderlands 2. I don't think I ever beat any of them, but I still had a really good time playing them. And it's just disappointing to see this stuff come from Gearbox, because like when Tim wrote that article on our OLIP website the other day, I was kind of hyped.
Nice name drop.
Yeah. It's a good website, and Tim actually just wrote another one, Skyrim. So if y'all want to stop by about that, that'd be great.
Hey, we're gonna talk about that later, Cody. Jesus.
Hey, look.
Way to not be a part of the pre-talk conversation.
Hey,
Ian was here and you weren't. What the hell?
Wow.
I had to shower. Okay.
Dang.
To be fair, I didn't know the pre-talk was happening. I just saw Justin calling and be like, "Yeah, I'll answer this call."
But what was I gonna say? It's just disappointing to see from Gearbox. I was a little hyped. Even somebody who's kind of looter shootered out at this point. I was like, maybe Borderlands 3 will be a lot of fun, and it probably will still be fun. But there's just things in it that I'm just not gonna buy it. I'd rather save that $60 or $80 just to be on even footing with everybody else.
Yeah,
you know?
I can't justify spending $80. I don't ever pay full price for games, right? Like I very rarely buy a game at $60. Like it takes a lot for me to be like, all right, I'm paying $60 for this shit. With fucking Borderlands, if it's $80 to feel like I'm actually getting the full experience, I might wait even longer. I don't know. I want to play it. I wrote an article about how it might be the best fucking looter shooter yet, and it hasn't even dropped. But then that was before I knew about the XP things, so that's kind of.
I mean, it was before they came out with all that info.
Yeah, that was before all that. So. Yeah.
And Tim, I was going to agree with you with the whole like I'm not keen on buying $60 games, and it's like it needs to I need to really feel it, but then I realized I'm an only child. I'll be like, "Hey, Dad, this game looks really sweet." He'll be like, "All right, I haven't bought something in a while. Let's go do this." Oh, God, what was I gonna say?
Yeah, my dad doesn't play video games.
It was something else. It doesn't matter.
So.
I'm not a fan of like repetitive stuff, but there's just like something about the Borderlands. And this is coming from somebody that has all 6 characters on OPA, which means I've played through all the playthroughs multiple times, the same thing. I can probably repeat the whole game line for line. And there's something about Borderlands game that it's just so much fun, and I love the characters. And I think that's also might be a reason why I just like, there's so much. So I think I didn't get into the pre-sequel because I was still playing so much of Borderlands 2, and it's like new characters and it's a different planet, which is cool. It's the moon, but I just didn't feel it as much as I did the first 2 Borderland games.
Not a planet.
You know? Well, I was talking about, I was meaning a different background than Pandora. You know, it's something new. It's something different, okay? Thank you for listening to what I'm saying, because I clearly am not.
Speaking of repetitive things and the article that I wrote and all that shit, so Cody posed a question, and I feel like we should address it.
Okay.
Are looter shooters the worst genre of games out there?
Okay, hold on. Before you answer that question, Tim, are you the host?
When you're not here, yeah. I'm the technical director. How about that?
Just stealing my thunder?
Yeah.
Going on to the next topic without me?
You had your chance. The future's now.
Listen, I'm sorry that I thought the moon was a planet. I didn't know I was going to lose my job with that comment.
Fired. All right.
Damn it.
But no, for real though. Like, what do we think about that? It's an interesting question.
I mean, I think that looter shooters, are they the worst genre in gaming? No.
Yes.
That's definitely battle royale games.
I thought the same thing at first, and then I thought about it, and I was like, actually, there are some good BR games, whereas the looter shooters, there's like, name a good looter shooter. I got Borderlands.
Borderlands?
That's it.
That's all you need. That's all you need.
Divisions.
That's all you need.
The division's
At the end of its
okay. Yeah, but that's at the end of its life. How long did it take to get to that point? Whereas Apex came out and it was a good game right off the bat. Fortnite, even though it's not for me, was a good game right off the bat. PUBG is enjoyable, even though it runs like shit. I loved PUBG for a long time.
So, okay, from a like game launch development standpoint, yeah, looter shooters have the worst track record. Very bad, very bad. Anthem comes out, tanks. Every other game that is not a looter shooter comes out, doesn't tank.
That's not accurate, but
you guys didn't tell me Rage 2 was coming out.
You're on a video game podcast. You don't.
I had no idea they even made another spin-off of what should have been another Borderlands game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like Rage is kind of an underrated game. It's not a bad game. I liked it, but that's
well. See, I started to play it because I think Tim, didn't you buy that for me for Christmas one year?
Yes.
Or did I buy it?
No,
yeah,
I got it.
I started to play it. Literally, I'm playing it like maybe the first hour or so, and I'm like, I think I'll just go back to Borderlands.
Yeah, it's like not a bad game, but it's like it's not. I did the same thing. I own it on PC. I've played it, and I go, I think I'd rather play Borderlands than this because I thought it was going to be somewhere between Borderlands and Fallout, and it's somewhere between Borderlands and Fallout, but it doesn't quite live up to either. But
and I felt the same way with Bulletstorm.
To answer that question though, like for me, are looter shooters the worst games? I'm actually going to say no, because I think MOBAs are considerably worse. Like there are a couple of enjoyable MOBAs, but it became so many games were trying to be MOBAs so fast, like Dawn of War 3. Like here's why MOBAs are the worst for me. Cuz MOBA,
because they fucking ruined Dawn of War.
Killed Dawn of War. So I'm going to say fuck MOBAs in general.
I'd like to rescind everything I said and agree with Tim 200%. God damn it, really.
I'm still gonna say no, even though I pose a question. I just think they're trending. There is nothing redeeming about the only looter shooter game that's had a decent launch and hasn't been totally ripped to pieces in like the past 6 years is Division 2. That's it.
And it's still meh.
Yeah, and it's not like super, like it's fun.
It's fun. I like it.
But it's not
the
best game out there.
I know I have some friends that's all they're playing right now. Like KO loves the hell out of that game. I play it when I have time, but like if I'm sitting down and I feel the need to play a game, it's not a game that immediately pops into my brain. It's like, oh yeah, I could also play that.
So, what about you, Shane? What do you think, man?
You already know how I feel about looter shooters, boy.
Do we?
Bottom rung.
How do you feel?
So boring.
Let me know.
I mean, not one has caught my attention, has made me feel like putting the money up for it. And same with MOBAs. So
you don't want all that purple loot.
See, you know what the worst part is about looter shooters is that they came from
Start over and speak differently.
Yeah, dude, it just like cut out.
It was like, you know what the worst thing about looter shooters?
Nothing. It's all great.
They came from a very good idea of a very good. The genre used to be a lot better when it was Diablo, or there's another game I'm thinking of.
When they ripped the idea of how loot works from RPGs, because that's like Kingdoms of Amalur, fucking Diablo, like this is fantasy RPG game loot system just put in a first-person shooter is what the idea was, or third-person shooter.
Yeah, and it worked in those games, so I don't understand why you can't. Like, there's literally decades of that system working, and nobody's been able to really, other than Borderlands 1, Borderlands 2, has really been able to get it to work from the start. You know what I mean? So
Division does it okay, but yeah, no, you're right.
So it's disappointing to me because I think the concept is fine. It's just the monetization at this point and the shitty launches and developments and stuff have just totally soured the genre.
I think the bigger problem that the genre has, and that a lot of games have now, is the idea of games as a service as opposed to a game being a fully finished product. So the idea that you're going to push a game out and you're going to support it over the life of that game and add content to it, in theory, it sounds great, but what it actually has translated to overall is, hey, here's an empty shell of a game. We're going to fill it with more shit later. You're basically beta testing it until we finish it and sell you all the pieces to it. Like, that's been...
to an extent, yeah.
I think, especially for looter shooters to a large extent, and for other games like, say, honestly, I think that's part of the problem that Fallout 76 has, is I think they got to a point in development where they're like, okay, it's playable, let's sell it. And then they're like, we'll fix it afterwards. It became a game as service idea, and I think that's just fucking horrible for gamers. I think it's horrible. Like, it's one thing if you slap an early access tag on it and I know I'm buying an unfinished buggy product that's broken as shit. That's fine. I have bought so many early access games. I've bought so much abandonware it's not even funny. But, like, it doesn't... I know that's a risk when I buy an early access game. I don't expect that from Bethesda. I don't expect that from BioWare. I don't expect that from these AAA publishers selling me a $60 game. So...
Right. Yeah.
Well, and you know, the problem with this topic, though, is, like, I feel like there's great games in all these genres and also, like, games that, like, shouldn't even be a part of the genre that they're so bad. You know what I mean?
You're not wrong.
Well, what great game outside of Borderland is a looter shooter?
I think that's the one he's talking about.
Yeah, I mean, but you can go through all the genres. Like, there's good, there's bad. See, I've never been a fan of the point and click adventure games. I feel like they're pretty slow, clunky, repetitive. And I've never really got into that necessarily genre, if you will. But
there's some funny ones that we should send him.
Some funny ones that you should send me for point and click adventure games. I will hate every single one.
Not if I don't know, man.
Oh, I know, man.
Okay, go ahead, back up Joda here and say Diablo 2 was phenomenal.
Diablo 2 was amazing. I don't think we're including Diablo 2 in the looter shooter genre. I think of Diablo 2 as an ARPG. Or actually as a CRPG, because I don't even think of it as an action RPG. I think of it as a classic RPG.
And you even have recent examples of the like
point and click. That's not what he means by point and click. He means like the
Monkey Island.
Yeah, Monkey Island, that kind of thing. Yeah, that's probably the best example.
Yeah.
So something I wanted to mention is with these looter shooters, right? We've yet to see one that really sticks around. And I think that for games as a service, the best thing that a developer can do is have a strong base and just build it up and keep adding shit to it and not make a sequel. Just keep adding to your base game. Just keep doing it for like 10 years. World of Warcraft it.
Guys.
Just do that.
Let's start an OLIP looter shooter game.
Oh my god.
Don't give me that look, Cody. Let's fucking do it. Let's go.
Our looter in pixels.
Yes. Oh.
It could be one of those browser-based games.
Yo, if I knew any way how to do game development, I would be all over that shit. That would be so funny.
You gonna learn today,
I'd make
baby.
a parody game.
Learn today.
Put the little OLIP heart as the health bar.
Oh my god.
And stuff like Zelda. And there you go.
Jasmine, what do you need? So we went a little long tonight, guys.
A little bit.
But that's how she likes it.
We've gone a little long the last couple of weeks. This is not as bad as it was last week.
Well, that's because I wasn't on to stop it.
We're fine with
What was I doing last week?
I don't know. I don't know where you've been for the last 5 episodes, damn you.
I was seeing Us last week. That's what I was doing.
Not us.
You weren't seeing us,
not
you fuck.
Not you. Jordan Peele. So, we playing games, boys? What are we doing this week?
Talking.
I don't know. Have you downloaded any of the games
on with Joda?
Have you downloaded any games with crossplay, Ian?
I don't know. What games can I cross-play? I'm not spending $20 on fucking soccer race cars.
Well, you have PS Now. Is it not on there? Because it's on Xbox
you know what?
Game Pass.
Let's check.
Pretty sure it is.
Yeah, just because it's on Xbox Game Pass doesn't mean it's on fucking... What do I have? PS Now.
It probably is, though. That's my point.
Why.
God, I just want to play Borderlands again. I'm at Bounty Hunter. They both start with a B. It's fine.
I mean, we don't all have to be playing the same game. I just want to hang out with you boys in Discord at the very least.
I love hanging out with you too. I work in the morning though.
There's goddamn 5 of us. He doesn't have a gaming PC, Joda. Otherwise,
who doesn't?
You fuck.
Yeah.
Who asked? Who's saying?
Joda.
Is it Joda?
Yeah.
Joda, buy me one, baby. Joda.
Oh, hey, we should probably, before we get into this, we should probably wrap the show and switch to a different section. Because this is going to be a weird-ass cut. So, so we want to thank you guys so much for watching this week's episode of Our Life in Pixels, or listening back on Spotify, SoundCloud, or iTunes. I
love every single one of you.
Or wherever you do listen to your podcasts. Again, I'm still looking into getting us into potentially on iHeartRadio or a couple of other different podcast platforms. Do we have any closing thoughts, boys?
Pluto is not a planet. The moon is.
Okay.
I can back that for sure.
Whoa.
All right.
Whoa. I have never factualized that Pluto is not a planet.
Well, science did. Cody?
Rocket League is not on here.
If you guys want a game that's going to give you $40.
He's pitching outward.
If you want a game, nothing.
If you want a game, 40. All we heard is
God. Your suspenseful tactic is bullshit.
I knew you were pitching outward, but I like all anyone heard was if you want a game. $40. $40.
OLIP special.
Put that shit in my hand.
You'll get a game. $40.
Look, that's my per hour.
That money doesn't show,
rate.
baby.
Oh. I accidentally released my per hour rate, but I was actually trying to talk about outward $40.
Shane.
Yes.
Closing thoughts.
Oh God, is this me? Or is it you?
Borderlands. Pick up 12 is better than 6. And if you haven't been playing Sekiro, fucking dump some time into Sekiro or fucking Outworld or whatever for $40.
Yeah.
Hey,
the bad guys from Mortal Kombat.
Rocket League is not on PS Now, but Rugby 15 is.
We don't.
Oh, let's all just play that.
I definitely don't have that.
I think I have Rugby 13 now.
Ian, closing thoughts?
No, that literally is that. And I think for next week I'm gonna develop Cody's suspenseful tactic. Because that is my favorite.
All right.
So hey, listen, if you want a game, $40.
And my closing thought is that I did write a new article for the Our Life in Pixels website. It is currently posted.
Yes.
I have not shared it on social media yet. I'll be sharing that tomorrow. But if you are curious about it, you can go to Our Life in pixels because the whole thing is taken. .weebly.com. We don't own the URL yet. We're still exploring that. And go to the articles and reviews section, and it's posted in there. It's about how Skyrim may controversially be the worst thing to ever happen to Bethesda Softworks, which hurts me to say, but it's potentially true.
Can't be.
Read the article. Read the article, and you might see why, boy.
Bethesda. DLC horse armor, monetize. Mods, monetize. What are they going to try to monetize with the new Elder Scrolls?
Why are you saying monetize weird?
Yeah,
no, it's monetize it, baby. Monetize it.
You say it money or money?
Right, but...
Monetize.
But...
I've never heard it monetized before until you said it. I was like...
I've never heard anybody say... I've never heard
my question.
I've never heard anybody say monetize.
Yeah, no, it was very odd.
I've heard...
But you know what? It caught my attention, though. It caught my attention.
All right, anyway, this has been episode 7 of Season 2 of Our Life in Pixels. We're not monetized. We're free. Although we do sell merch if you want some merch. Anyway, I'm gonna...
Our faces on a shirt.
We will we'll see you guys next Saturday. Thanks for watching. Smash that help button. Oh God, the memes that are coming from
Smosh
this.
that help button.
Oh dear Lord.
Smosh it.
This has
And
been
monetize
our
it.
life on the
Smosh it and
moon.
monetize it.
All right, so I'm
Planet.
gonna hop over to